So our attendees today, a bit about me. I have been at Environment Analytics for 12 years, and before joining the media team, I was an analyst, I was an insights person, I was account management, and I was in sales. My CPG experience predates my time at EA, but I was a key part of the team that brought Homescan to EA, model it down to the 6-digit postal code. So I have some extensive CPG experience that I have been deploying in the past few years. Joining me is my co-presenter, Cassie Apostasy. Cassie has been with EA for 7.5 years, and many of those years were actually in the insight side of the business. She was an insights analyst, and then the director of insights. And her team actually managed the CPG clients. So she has extensive experience working with the data and the tools. When she joined her product management team, Homescan became a key component of her portfolio. So we're really excited to have her show us these enhancements. So with that said, well, let's get this party started. Okay. So why don't we start with a bit of the CPG landscape? And what we've been seeing, what you've been telling us, and what we read in the media is there's a couple of key influencers happening in the landscape right now. One, we're all seeing inflation is affecting shopper budgets and how private labels are increasing competition. We also are seeing improved in-store experience and product personalization. There's growing opportunities for alternative grocery options. And there's a focus on local options with an emphasis of made in Canada. And I'm going to expand that local options because one of the other local elements that really comes to our teams with a lot of requests is understanding the Canadian made in Canada local populations. We're seeing more diversity. We're seeing an aging population. And the media teams that are working with the CPG manufacturers and retailers are trying to identify the optimal audiences to reach to. So back to Homescan. Really, this is the holistic way to understand your brand, your competitors' brands, the category, and the market. But we're looking at it in terms of potential buying households, potential dollars. And it's not just on a market level, but it goes down to a store trade area level, down to small area geography, down to a postal code. In addition, our Homescan profiles are built from data we get from Nielsen's Homescan panel, and that captures what consumers are purchasing and how much they're spending at the household level. Data are aggregated and then modeled down to that postal code level. So it's a privacy by design data solution. And lastly, about Homescan. People are leveraging Homescan data in conjunction with Prism or other EA data sets to get a complete picture of their customers or their prospects or their opportunities and how they fit into markets and categories of interest. And a lot of the common questions that Homescan answers is, who's buying my brand? If you're a CPG manufacturer, you may not have first-party data. And Homescan can actually give you a very robust picture of who's buying your brand. It can also give you a very robust picture of who's buying your competitor's brand. Where's the greatest potential for my products? What other categories, other brands are my brand buyers likely to buy? How do our consumers differ from our competitors? Where should I allocate my media spend? So one of the things I'd like you to think about is we're going to focus this through a use case. And there's two primary use cases that are relevant for today's conversation. One is on the CPG manufacturing side. And then there's the extension of that use case into media. And so the use case for the manufacturer starts with a premium cheese brand. And they want to know who's buying their product and how their customer differs from those buying the competitive brands. And the Homescan Profiles allows the cheese brand to understand who buys the category, their product, the competitive products, and to understand if their target audience overlaps with any competitors or where they overlap in the market to drive volume and share. Now, a media agency or a media partner is looking at the same data because they want to find the right audience for that CPG brand. They were looking for the audience that will already be buying the category or they're new to the category. They're going to look for brand or competitive brands. And so the Homescan data allows the agency to identify the optimal Prism segments or the best FSAs, or even create custom audiences from that data to drive their brand awareness, performance, and conquesting campaigns so that premium cheese brand can actually maximize their market presence. So we've heard your comments. And for those who are current Homescan users, you may feel it has remained largely unchanged for years, because it has. And we've been taking your feedback, and we made some overhauls to the way the data and the software works to help users get to answers. So why enhance the product? Because user feedback was telling us it was time for a change. And with that, I'm going to hand us over to Cassia, who's going to take us through some of these enhancements for you.
Great, thanks, Andrea, and good afternoon, everyone. So with the trend of inflation affecting household budgets, dollars may not go as far as they used to, and knowing who is playing in your category may be vital to your success. Previously, options for understanding these smaller players using Homescan Profiles involved a custom data pull organized through your sales and account management team, which can be costly in both time and money, or you were simply able to only work with the restricted view of data that you had. We have heard you with this feedback. Our solution to this problem was to widen the field of view for users by lowering the threshold on data made available within the Homescan Profiles product. This does mean that you will have some lower sample variables in the data now, flagged with an exclamation mark. Keep this in mind when you're working with the data in the future. Now, let's see what this looks like. There we go. All right, we have made over 2,200 new variables accessible to users, including nearly 700 new brands and over 1,500 new brand and category variables. This represents 50% increase in the number of variables readily available to users, both in flat file and in ENVISION. Some of these new variables have opened the door to new categories. 73 new categories are now available and are distributed across many aisles. Your ability to view these categories and fragments allows you to go deeper into pockets of growth that were previously too small to measure. Some of the new categories include 5 new categories in baby care, 4 new categories in pet needs, and 12 new categories in OTC, among many others. These changes immediately expand the opportunity to explore and understand smaller players. It allows for better quantification of buying behaviors of your target audience. Do you want to know more about what else your customers are buying? Well, that catalog of available brands just got a lot bigger. And the increase in variables improves the coverage and understanding of volumes being bought and dollars being spent within an aisle, and what portions you're capturing versus your competition. All of this is to say that you can know more with the same database that you're already using. Remember that premium cheese brand that Andrea introduced us to earlier? Well, let's take this example and see what these new variables mean for them when evaluating the natural cheese aisle. This graph represents the total dollars spent in the natural cheese aisle. Nearly $600 million are spent annually in Canada. The dark purple portion represents, sorry about that. The dark purple portion represents the large brands within the Homescan Profiles product, representing 3/4 or 77% of the total spend. The pink is the newly added available data in the 2023 product vintage, while the gray portion remains unqualified, meaning that it's otherwise not broken out within the Homescan product. Previously, brands who made up that pink slice and their share of the market were unknown to users. From the pink slice of the pie, we get $16 new brands that are added to provide a more holistic view of the category for our cheese brand. We have $62 million in additional dollars that are accounted for and broken down into these newly split out categories and brands. And an 87% total coverage for the natural cheese aisle. This represents a 10% increase in this aisle, leaving only those really small players unaccounted for, and totaling the remaining 13%. With this new data, our cheese brand can now easily deep dive on that additional 10% to know more about who those buyers are, where they live, and more importantly, which competitors they may be spending their money with. So we've talked about how more data are available to users, but we've also received feedback that the experience within Envision is complex, it's time consuming, and a large amount of work goes into making some of our standard reports easily usable for you. So in short, these reports aren't entirely working. So we've heard you with this as well. Our solution is to make your life easier by redesigning tools within Envision to suit the Homescan Profiles product, providing a more streamlined and catered experience for users. The tools are, these enhancements are twofold, making the Homescan experience the best that it has ever been. The tools are simpler to use and interpret. This is done by requiring a user now to only select one variable and receive both buyer and dollar metrics on the output. We've also enhanced the outputs with field headers that are catered to the Homescan Profiles product with language that makes sense to the industry. And secondly, the tools make your work faster. With the consolidation of buyers and dollars into a single standard report, you can reduce the volume of variables that you select, cut the number of reports that you need to run, and reduce the amount of data that you have to analyze. The Homescan suite contains 5 new customized tools to the Homescan Profiles product. These tools are available to you today in ENVISION for both the syndicated and custom product line licensees. These tools are our recommended best practice when working with Homescan Profiles data within ENVISION, but understanding that change doesn't always happen overnight, Homescan Profiles is still available in all standard tools in ENVISION to ensure that there are no disruptions to any existing workflows you might have. For current ENVISION users, the usability of these tools is going to feel very similar to any of the standard tools that you already know and love. So let's take a look at what this experience looks like and how it works. So you can easily find the tools by searching for Homescan in the search bar. The 5 new tools, plus others that work well with the Homescan product, will come up and be available for you. For this video, we chose the Ranking Variables Trade Area tool. Select the area of interest and benchmark, choose your data set, and from the variable tree, we see that only the dollar metrics are visible. When selected, this variable will return both buyers and dollars in a single output. Choose your variables of interest and hit that Create Dashboard button at the bottom. Head over to the results page and pick up your report. This side-by-side comparison here shows you the difference in the variable selection tree. On the left is the tree accessed via the standard tools, where buyers and dollars are separated into 2. On the right, the tree is from the new Homescan tools, where the variables only show up once. Fewer clicks means you get to your report faster. So now let's take a look at what the outputs look like. Here, I ran a ranking variables report at the aisle level for the Toronto Census Metropolitan Area, or CMA, versus Canada. The first enhancement to highlight is that the total household counts are made available for the Ranking Variables Trade Area and Ranking Variables Target Group tool. No need to run these from the basics anymore. So that means even fewer clicks. Next, we see a collection of new columns supported by labels that are catered to the Homescan Profiles product. These reports include buyer, households, and dollar metrics in line on the same row within the report. Previously, these were provided stacked, so you would have 2 rows for each variable. And we've added a new normalized metrics to the report, dollars per buyer household, to provide a view into how much an average buyer spends on the variable once they become a buyer. Leveraging these reports to help understand the best way to implement initiatives to help move the needle is easier now. We see here that deli meat aisle in Toronto is underpenetrated compared to Canada, and households in Toronto spend less than the average Canadian household on deli meats. But when they do buy, they're skewed higher for dollars spent per buyer. This may represent a pocket of growth for deli meats within the market. Now, let's take a look at my personal favorite, the area ranking tool. Again, you can search for the tool and select it. Select your area of interest. Choose your component geography, including all levels of standard geographies. For this example, I have chosen again the census metropolitan areas, and that's those largest cities within Canada. Select your database, select your variables of interest. Also, this tool does allow for multi-variable selection, allowing you to run multiple variables of interest for the same geographies at the same time. Again, hit that click Create Dashboard button and pick up your report on the results page. Oops, apologies. As we saw with the ranking variables report, the ranking areas by variable boasts the same enhancements. Let's look at this using one for a cheese brand, so Balderson's cheddar cheese in CMAs in Canada. So those additional columns and improved headers is also available on this report. We have here the inclusion of both buyer and dollar metrics in one report. Previously, 2 independent reports were required to get at this level of detail. We have the inclusion of the new dollar per buyer household metric. And bringing this new report together, we get to see what comes with the Balderson cheese. There are 2 major cities that have a low buyer penetration and spend less than the Canadian average per household, which are Montreal and Quebec. Within the Quebec CMA specifically, similar to what we saw with the deli meats in Toronto, these buyer households spend more than the average Canadian household. Now, this may represent a good pocket of opportunity for our premium cheese brand to provide a catered experience on products to the Quebec market. So you can also leverage the new Homescan reports with Prism to know more about who your buyers are and how much they spend per cohort. Here, we've enhanced the Homescan Prism profile report to include buyers within the consumption profile. And you can see the most important buyers and the biggest gaps for increasing volume and share. This profile for Balderson cheese within Quebec gives us a quick understanding for our cheese brand who their potential target audience could be and what their potential spend is. So to close this up, we believe that these enhancements to the Homescan Profiles product are greater than the sum of their parts. In this case, more really is more. Homescan Profiles is an effective and easy way to granularly understand the market share. And you can do that better and faster now with over 2,200 additional variables in conjunction with the new suite of reporting that helps you get to your answers faster.
Thanks, Cassia. That was a really great overview of the new enhancements that I know you and the team have been working very hard on. So thank you. So with that, I did see one question, and I can almost guarantee it's a media-related question. Do the new ranking reports, I'm thinking it's the geographic ranking reports, go down to the FSA?
Yes. Short answer, yes.
Okay.
The ranking areas are available at all levels of standard geography.
Including FSAs. Okay, cool.
Including FSAs.
Okay. Let me see. All right, that's my open questions. So when you are working with this new data and you're working with these new reports, if you have any technical questions, our support team is always ready to work with you. So please don't hesitate to email them. Your account management team as well, reach out, ask questions. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you get to the business question answer that you need as soon as you can. The other thing I would suggest is if you're coming to our user conference in 2 weeks' time, there will be a demo station, and we can actually show you these reports live if you don't have a chance to do it before then. But I hope you do tap into ENVISION and take advantage of these new data and these new reports for you. As I mentioned, this will be recorded. This is being recorded, and we will be sharing it with you in the next few days online. But in the meantime, we'd like to say thank you. Cassie and I really appreciate your attention for the past 30 minutes. And that is all. And no other questions have emerged, so I think we're done. So thank you and enjoy your lunch.